Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Barsele Mineral Corp's channel, a junior explorer expanding its gold assets in the prolific mining district of Sweden during a booming precious metals market. To discuss, Gary, the Chief Executive Officer, who's going to be taking us through the investor deck today, give us a full view of the company. So first and foremost, welcome back, sir.
Well, thank you for having me, Kyle. Pleasure to be here.
And a pleasure to get you on. So I want to get right into this. I'm going to help you kind of just scroll through this, and I want you to kick it off by just talking about this top mining jurisdiction and kind of just take us through this.
Well, Sweden is a top mining jurisdiction. We believe it's if it's not the best in the world, it's certainly in the top three. And the reasons being is for miners, you look at costs. Well, taxes, power, holding concession costs. Sweden all is very low. I mean, power is the lowest in the world and the cleanest, by the way, which has become very, very important for investors to see that the miners are using clean power. It's all hydroelectric and solar and windmill. So and they have an overabundance of power in northern Sweden. That's why the people up there are getting incredible rates. We saw a crypto Hive blockchain just do a deal with the Swedish government at 1.5 cents a kilowatt. So that's incredibly cheap. The other thing with jurisdiction is the ability to have confidence that your title is secure. Well, it's Sweden. You follow the rules in Sweden. It's as secure as it gets. It's not like some of the countries in South America or Africa where you build a mine, you do a big investment into your project, and then 2 years later the government of some country is taking the mine back from you, saying we want it, or we're increasing your taxes by double, and we want more of the deposit. That will never happen in Sweden. It's as absolutely as conservative and safe as you can get. This part of Sweden is known for mining. Boliden, who's a Swedish company, has had multiple mines in this belt that we're in. Lundin Mining, a very famous guy now, and sons have taken over. Group of companies got their start here in this belt as well. It's just a very, very great jurisdiction. This project, and I have to say that a lot of people don't know very much about this project because our joint venture partner Agnico Eagle doesn't talk about it much, despite the fact that work has been carrying on, and they've drilled probably 140,000 meters since we did the joint venture. It's an incredible potential world-class deposit. And when I say potential, world-class gold deposits are 5 million ounces plus. We're currently at 2.5 million ounces, but we've seen enough drilling and deep drilling to know that with the proper spacing that there's at least 5 million and probably 10 million plus in this project. The team there is absolutely first class. Some of the guys that we hired before we did the joint venture with Agnico are still there. Corey, who is the project manager and Agnico Eagle's VP of exploration for Europe, runs the project, and it is absolutely first class. I've never seen a team with the protocols and safety and environmental conscience that this team has. The near-term plans, the big one is to add to the resource and increase the grade. Currently, there's 2.5 million ounces there now in a 43-101 resource, independently done. And we want to do a bunch of drilling to take that 2.5 to 4.5, 5 in the next 12 to 18 months. There'll be some VMS drilling as well. That's separate from the gold. The project is fortunate enough to have two types of mineralization, VMS and pure gold. Our group and their group has been very successful in taking deposits from very, very early stage exploration right through to we'll go as far as a PEA, a preliminary economic assessment. But our whole focus is to take a project and hopefully it's large enough for a major miner to come in and buy us out. I've done that twice in my lifetime and been highly successful with that model, and our group continues to work on that model. The resource itself is at least 7 or 8 kilometers long. It ranges up to 500 meters wide. We call it 3 different zones, but it's really one continuous zone. And the grade is about 2.6 grams per ton currently. We think with some work that grade will overall will get over the 3 gram mark and up to 4.5–5 million ounces. One of the things that kind of caught us by surprise, and it was a very pleasant surprise, was the federal government of Sweden has looked at the work that's been done here, sees the potential for a world-class mine, and came back at us with a designation on the project called National Economic Interest, which basically says that this property, its primary use will be mining, and this should make the permitting of a mine for whoever ends up mining it, whatever major miner ends up mining it, much easier to do. As I said before, the gold zone exceeds 8 kilometers long. It's still open to the north and to the south, and certainly at depth. The resource only goes down to 450 meters, but we know through some deeper holes that it goes down at least 1 kilometer and probably goes 2. This current belt of rocks, if you look at its neighbor over in Finland in the same sort of belt, they're down 2 kilometers mining already and still drilling deeper. So that's where we get the 10 million ounces potentially is in the depth. And we've hit new bonanza veins, which are not in the resource yet, but are extremely high grade veins in the Aven zone, which is the northern end of the 8 kilometers. More work's going to be done there, and that's one of the areas that we think will increase the overall grade. You can see from this sketch, this resource shapes, that you can see a lot of spacing with red, and those are gaps that haven't been filled in by drilling, or high grade hits that need more drilling, closer space to get into the resource. And anybody looking at this particular shape can see that there's a lot of gaps that need to be filled in, and that there's a lot more ounces here that'll be shown in the future. New targets. Well, I mentioned these bonanza veins, and here's a 200 by 200 by 700 meter, completely untested, with some incredibly high grade gold hits in the middle that need to be followed up on. You know, it's just another area, and there's more of these that we've hit extremely high grade, and very, very excited to get a drill going on this zone here and at grade. Risberget is an area that's not in the resource to the far south of the 8 kilometers. There's been quite a lot of drilling there. There's been, 30 or 23 holes that we've been reported. 1,200 meters of strike length. It's a little bit lower grade than the resource, but potentially open pittable, and therefore you don't need as high grade to mine as you do in underground mining. So again, more work to be done at Risberget, and just more ounces. I mentioned we had 2 types of minerals deposits. The second one is the Nora zone, which is a VMS deposit. Then you're getting into multiple metals, gold, silver, lead, zinc, maybe a little bit of copper. And yeah, I mean, it's small right now, but this is what got Agnico excited. You know, these things usually occur in clusters, and Agnico's their drilling program here will be testing some theories about where these future clusters might be found, and if they hit these things, they're huge. So hopefully Agnico will have success in drilling here that's starting shortly, and we can talk about two completely different types of mining on the same project. Again, the Agnico has generated a lot of targets, and they'll be testing those this spring and summer. Drilling highlights, you can see, you know, we get a whole mix of and a lot of high grade. You can see an 1100 grammer there in the Avan zone. I believe that's the highest to date, if not the second highest we've hit. But you can see 11 grams, 12 grams, 600 grams, 84 grams. You get a lot of high grade with low grade in between, and that's why we think this is world class. Basket Trask is a completely new area. It's on the other side of the lake from the main zone. And, you know, they've hit some high grade there as well. We're still trying to figure out, you know, orientations and how this thing might work over there, but there'll be more testing there as well. Some of the highlights over there was we hit a meter of 32 grams. Again, high grade. This is very encouraging for exploration that, you know, you're hitting these type of grades, and you know, you can get size very quickly out of high grade. So again, more work to be done there, but it's just another positive aspect that's blue sky in the future. You know, this deposit goes almost right to surface. You have a glacial till cover that the glaciers left behind when they retreated, 2 to 10 meters only, and then you're right into ore. This bodes well for mining. It bodes, you know, you don't have a lot of cost to get rid of waste ore before you're into your good stuff. And these pictures that we're looking at here now are where the open pit will be. That'll all be open pittable. You know, Barsele ticks off a lot of boxes, and one of them it ticks off hugely is metallurgy. And metallurgy, bad metallurgy, can kill a project very quickly. In our gold zone, the recoveries exceed 92%, which basically means that with a very simple circuit, we can get the gold out of the rock, and that's huge for when the miners come in to do an estimate on their costs. It's just another big plus for Barsele. The current 2019 mineral resource is based in indicated and inferred. You know, adding them up together, we're about 2.5 million ounces at 2.5 to 2.5 grams. Again, we know that that's understated just from the work that's been done since 2019. A lot of the stuff that will go into a new resource, hopefully by the end of this year, will add dramatically to the 2.5. In looking at different ways you look at the deposit, one of them is sensitivity, and you can see from this that by changing cutoff grade, you don't lose a lot. You still retain most of the ounces, and that's a good thing. Yeah, this is another interesting thing is we get our geologists, or Corey gets his geologists, the project manager, to you know, to go out and walk in the woods and see what, you know, there's something you can see. There's not a lot of outcrop on this potential project due to the, you know, the overburden of the glaciers, but every once in a while you find outcrop. And this particular boulder was found, and the testing was 90 grams of gold. It was found late in 2021. You know, this is again just another thing that gets us very excited about Barsele. Interesting. National Bank did this in June of 2019, and it never really came to pass for a lot of reasons. But it shows that Barsele, in their universe of companies they follow or carry, we had the greatest sensitivity to a 10% change in primary metals. Well, now gold's at $2,000, and when the story gets back out and into the forefront here shortly, you can see where Barsele gains the most out of their universe in a rise in gold. So again, very positive. Oh, this is a one that I have done. The RBC gold analyst, when Agnico put out their first resource, valued the gold in the ground here at $150 US, and these kind of deposits are staggering when you start to figure out the gross value of the gold in the ground. You can see that at 5 million ounces at $100, we're worth 500 million. That's the value you would look at for the company roughly. And if you use his 150, because of the jurisdiction he gave us a premium over the 100, then you're looking at 750 million US dollars for the value of the company. Well, we're currently trading at 35 million Canadian. So there's a huge potential here as we get going again and people start to realize exactly what Barsele is all about. Like I said, Barsele checks all the boxes. It's got size. It's in the top, one of the top, if not the best mining jurisdiction in the world. It's got institutional support from a number of well-known institutions. Right now, we're fully carried by Agnico, which means Agnico spends all the money. We don't have to put up anything. They do all the costs to keep this thing in good standing and the drilling and everything. Currently at 2.5 million ounces, but significant blue sky. We're very comfortable seeing that 5 million plus here and maybe 10 million plus, depending on success of future drilling. Metallurgy is as good as it gets. You saw the table of leverage to gold. We were #1 in National Bank's universe, and it's obviously a takeover candidate. It's got size. It's in the right jurisdiction. It's exactly what the major miners look for.
Well, on that note, I'll pass the question off to the viewers. We'd love to know what you think about this presentation in that comment section below. And consider subscribing, because as Barsele brings news up to the wire, we're going to update you here, of course. But as always, we look forward to catching you in the next one.
Thanks, Kyle.